Destination Freedom this evening. Thanks for being here. I just want to say at the beginning, I guess we're going to be broadcasting. We're broadcasting both on YouTube and Facebook, and we may be on other platforms. But I'm glad you're here. I just want to encourage you that if you haven't subscribed um, to us on YouTube, please subscribe, and we'll see those numbers go up. And then and I don't know how those algorithms work, but I'm sure it'll help us. And then also, if you're following us on Facebook and all that, we're going to keep you posted on things we're going doing. So tonight we're going to have some guests. We don't usually do guests on the show, but we have some clients and guests, and of course we'll also have Ama, my assistant in the office, will be in, and also one of our producers on Destination Freedom is my son Michael. He'll be in on the show. I'm probably going to let him in on the broadcast here. Um, so let me see if I can let everybody in. I'll let there's Ted. Hey, good evening, Ted. Ted is a client. I'm going to let but we're going to give a few minutes to make sure everybody gets in. It looks like Danny was coming in, and want to make sure he gets in as well. Can you hear okay, Ted?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can. Let's see. Yeah, so I can hear you on now. I hear him on the laptop, so I'm supposing that's the way the sound is coming in, Michael. So I think that should be fine. Um, we'll see how that plays out. Let's see here. And Danny was coming up, but I don't see him. He seemed to drop out. Maybe he'll try back in. Um, and
It
of
took a
course,
while for me to be able to get logged in.
oh, that's okay. I appreciate your persistence.
Yeah.
And then we did see that you showed up, what they call in the lobby, and then we just opened up and let me just let Michael in, and then let me see if this is going to go. And let's see. Let me see. I've okay. So Michael, it's not letting you in there, but I'll see if I'll try to let you in as soon as if you want to come out and back in. That's good. All right. Um, there we go. And then there you go. There's son number one. that's that's good. Oh, that's cool. And then oh, here's Danny. He's going to come in too, and um, and that'll be great. And there's Danny Dela Paz. That's awesome. Glad to have you in, Danny, client. And everybody's going to get a chance um, to talk a little bit about some of uh, their background, what they do, things like that, and then also um, oh, it looks like you're failing recorded or failed. Oh, Michael dropped out. Okay, so he stepped out. So I guess that's how weak the internet signal is. Yeah, so he'll probably end up dropping back in. Michael will be in. He may come in just on the in the studio and talk a little bit, but that's okay. And I believe Ron may be in a little later, but he'll be in shortly, and that'll be great. He can step in. But let's just get right into it. I want to talk a little about you gentlemen and how long you've been in these processes and stuff. So if you wouldn't mind just um, introduce yourself and then tell what you do, what you do for work and things like that, and and then how long you've been pursuing some of the freedom stuff or state citizen stuff, if you will. And then oh, here comes Ron. Let's let him in. See there. And then all right. Then yeah. So Michael, you can just mute yourself if you like, and that's fine. And then you can open up your chat there. Okay, that's good. And all right, so I'm just trying to do some of this technical work. So thanks for your patience in that. Glad to have you on, Ron. Um, what I was saying was um, everybody's on their phones. That's kind of a cool thing. I don't know, maybe Ted isn't, but that's good. And so so I just whoever would like to speak first, and listen after you talk a little bit and whatever, you're welcome to stick around and engage in some of that conversation, or if you need to head out too, all of it's good. I'm just thankful that you're on, and so that people can see that there's that there are other people than themselves, or just me with Destination Freedom. That's a cool thing. So who would like to go first?
I'd love to go. Oh,
All right,
Danny. All right.
Danny raised his hand. This is Danny De La Paz, and Danny, you're in Texas, is that right?
Hold on. Let me Am I? Can you hear me, or am I muted?
No, I can hear you just fine.
Okay. Yeah, I'm in San Antonio,
All
Texas.
right, so oh,
Can
good.
you,
And
you can hear me?
um, can you talk a little bit about what you do for work, or whether you're
Yeah,
retired, or
yeah.
what it is you
I'm a
do in your spare time?
retired member of the film industry, professional actor for I guess about 40 years before I stopped doing my thing as an actor in films, and I made around that many films I think in 40 years, like an average of one a year, television and film work. I began my freedom journey I think around 20. I want to say 2019 or something like that, 2018, somewhere in there. I had been aware of you, Christopher, since oh god, I think 2012 or 2010, something around there, when I
Yeah,
began to see some of your videos on YouTube. I was
that's cool.
also, just researching and going onto a lot of different people's pages, and just trying to find out information about what is this all about, and how does one approach this subject matter of freedom or whatever.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's pretty much my story as far as my professional life is concerned. So eventually, I did hook up with you, and
Yep.
that's led to a greater understanding of the process of, and also a connection that I appreciated learning from you. Um, that all of this work that we do in the freedom community, it has a spiritual basis to it,
Mm,
and that our freedom comes from our Creator to begin with, and that's important for us to always keep in mind.
that's cool.
So I'm glad that I've been able to connect with this community. Everybody that I've met in it so far has really been upstanding as far as their character is concerned and the kind of people that they are. And it's a process. I've learning. I've made mistakes. I have my own personal issues when it comes to dealing with authority, because of my experience in Hollywood,
Mm.
for low those many decades. But anyway, in a nutshell, that's pretty much my story right there.
Well, that's cool. Now you've done that passport process. You got your certified
Yeah.
documents and things like that, right? And you've done some other things. So how you've been doing business before you started doing some of this work? Has anything changed for you, or has it been the same? Hasn't been a big deal? How's that? How's working for you with respect to some of that been for you?
Well, about back in 2009, 2010, I was living here in San Antonio at that time too. In between, I lived back in LA. But during that time, I had a store here in San Antonio with another actor friend of mine. We partnered up to open a shop. And at that time, we were, of course, attached, with the tax ID number and all of that. And
Yeah,
the government tentacles were very much apparent, and our trying to conduct business. And now, all these years later, I have another shop. This time, I'm by myself, and this
yeah,
time I'm still in San Antonio, but I went to an organization that is known as a flea market here. It's very
mm,
big and it's relatively new, and it's very large. And I basically told them my situation in terms of my citizenship status, and
yeah,
they wanted me to open up a shop there. They wanted me to have a shop there, and I told them that I wasn't interested in being a tax collector for the government, and that I
yeah,
was willing to have a shop and willing to be a part of their organization, but I didn't in any way want to do the tax thing. And they agreed. They agreed to let me. I showed them my paperwork and all the work that we'd done up to that point. I think we had just
yeah,
we were in the middle of the passport process at that
yeah.
time. We hadn't completed it yet. but they agreed to let me be free of the tentacles of the tax system
Cool.
here, and I
Well,
was
that's
allowed
great.
to do my thing with my shop. So that I wouldn't even have thought of doing that had it not been for the work that we had done.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, and we're doing some follow-up work with your driver's license stuff, and that's going to be happening this week here too. So you've done some other
Yeah.
things with that, and having
And I
those
think
documents there. So
I
that's
think there's
cool.
still an issue with the passport process with the with one page that we need to work on.
Okay, I'll look at that and follow up
Yeah,
with you. Might be tomorrow or probably tomorrow morning or
yeah,
something. I'll follow up
whatever.
with you on that. That's great.
But
All
it's
right. Well,
been
thank you so much.
it's been a plus, Christopher. It's really been a very beneficial thing in my life to have connected with this community. I appreciate it very much.
Oh, that's cool. That's awesome. Thank you so much for that. And who's up? Who's up next? I want to say a thing. Ron, you got a nice, happy face there. You've been working all day. Thanks for making some time for this, and
Well, of course.
I appreciate you. So just mention um, what you do, for work or what you do with your time, and how long you've been doing freedom stuff in general. How long have you been doing what we're doing, and how's that been for you, and that journey? How's that been for you?
Yeah, so I'm Ron Renaud. I'm a professional coach, life coach, business coach. I work with executives and athletes and cool people and of all sorts. I say from billionaires to men in recovery, and I've worked with that whole range. Anyway, long short is my job is to help people live out the best version of their lives, and so that's how I try to live my own life. Is trying to figure out how to do better, how to live better. What are the principles, underlying principles, upon which one should base his or her life. And I've been involved in, like we could say, the freedom movements for say about 20 years or so, maybe a little bit more. But um, it was during the whole COVID nonsense that someone I knew said, "Hey, we're organizing a talk on the mall in Philadelphia, and would love to have you speak." And I went to speak there. To talk about a dream come true. I mean, I'm speaking on the mall where America's founders I could throw a baseball and hit where America's founders were gathering a couple hundred years prior. So it was a really special time for me. But while I was there, someone spoke about this weird dude, Christopher Gronsky, and state citizen, and like, yeah, okay, cool. I got a speech to give tomorrow, so that's Anyway, it was like, what do they say? Like a worm in your ear. That doesn't sound very pleasant, but it was something in my mind that I got to check this out. I don't like paying anything more than I have to. Nobody really does. But the idea of being able to keep my money because it's my money, not only was it revolutionary, but it was extraordinarily intriguing. And I think just like somebody who might be overweight, kind of gets to a point of enough's enough. I'm just done. I want to lose this damn weight. I'm sick of carrying around. I'm sick of not being the man I can be or the woman. Or I'm sick of being in a relationship with somebody in this way or sick of being poor and enough's enough. I was just so sick of, I am not the most detail oriented guy. I mean, I do quality work, whether I'm doing physical labor or whatever I'm doing. But the idea that I had to learn to get so pedantic and fastidious with receipts and envelopes, and it drove me, and to double check and triple check that my numbers were just right. So if the IRS, and if anything ever happened 7 years from now, the idea of not having to live looking over my shoulder was very seductive. And anyway, somebody turned me on to Christopher. He and I spoke many, 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 many times. And I think anybody who's watching this should do your own version of what I had to do, which was I read Paul Mitchell's book, what's it called, Christopher?
The Federal Zone.
The Federal Zone. I read the Federal Zone a couple times. I read all sorts of articles, and I went back and looked at the court cases, and I looked and researched important keywords, and I looked at the Cornell Law Library and checked definitions over and over and over again until I was satisfied. And even then, I still wanted to talk to Christopher some more and talk to other people and find out what they knew, because if it's so good, why aren't everybody? But the truth is, and I think anybody who's watching this will, through their own experience, appreciate my experience, which is The teacher that was worried if you chew gum, then won't everybody want to chew gum in class? And the truth is, no, nobody's going to chew gum in class. It's going to be okay. If this was true, wouldn't everybody know it? Well, most people don't know what's going on in the world, and so do we really think that the truth gets a free platform everywhere it goes? And of course, it's not the case. It may shout from the mountaintops, but people often, and to include people like me, don't or didn't have ears to hear because we're too busy trying to be good boys and good girls to the folks in DC or Brussels or wherever someone might end up living. But for me, I was done. I was done just being a good boy and making sure nobody was going to get mad at me. And I satisfied myself with my months and months and probably about a year and a half of research before I finally pulled the trigger and did the alignment workshop, the passport process, and did my driver's license over. And ever since then, I've kept a what I call my state citizen narrative, in all the myriad of ways in which I am asked if I'm a United States citizen, and I ask for clarity, and I document people's responses. I document my responses to make it clear that, should there ever be an issue, I have so well documented that I have denied the so-called benefits and privileges of being a federal citizen and lived as a truly free man to stand or fall on my own. And frankly, it was scary at first. And now I pretty much forget that I'm even, that somebody thinks I should be paying taxes. I just I've gotten on with my life and I keep more of my money. So thank you, Chris.
That's so great. See, now that's a very common sentiment is, there's a time of a lot of paperwork and stuff, and then eventually it starts dissipating. And again, you're about your stuff. And then when something comes up, it comes up. And right, that's exactly how it is for a lot of people.
I used to go like, oh wait, it's September. Okay, quarterly taxes, September 15th. I've got to get ready. And now it's like, oh wait, it's November 13th. You know what that means to me, Christopher? Tomorrow's the 14th. That's what it means.
That's exactly right.
Anyway,
that's awesome.
I will thank you. And I'll just say one more ditty and then pass the baton is part of what gave me the freedom, the freedom to choose with confidence was knowing that you had laid out the groundwork for years and years with Michael as a little boy handing out flyers about, taxes and one's responsibility or non-responsibility for 30 years. You've been doing this. You've got a track record. This is not like we're all a bunch of crazy people just going for it. And so to me, you've already done the hard work. It's just a matter of, do I want to save thousands and tens of thousands a year or not, or more?
That's a good word. Thank you for that. And it's been that joy. Speaking of that, now that's a nice transition. I'll move into, since you mentioned Michael, Michael here is my son. When I see that Michael Gronsky, sometimes I think of my brother's Michael Gronsky. Of course, for the record, I want to state that my son is not named after my brother. He's named after my ex-father-in-law, whose name was Michael. But I'll get in trouble if I say that he's named after someone. No, anyway, it's a long story I won't go into. But anyway, Michael, I'm so thankful for you. I'm glad you're on. Although Michael is here, you see him on the broadcast here. He's also behind the scenes and is facilitating some of this stuff here. I just wanted to just thank you for being in my life and for helping with the work and all. I'm glad that we're doing, and you began your process however many years ago that was, when you were very young and we first did your passport stuff. And now as an adult, you are moving forward in these processes on your own. And I'm thankful for that. And so I won't belabor too long, but so how is it for you? And, growing up with a lot of this stuff, I mean, yes, as a minor, you were out holding signs in front of the IRS building and made the front page of the newspaper and all that stuff, just being a homeschooler. How has it been, just in general for you? And then, why are you doing some of this stuff now as an adult?
Well, yeah, I mean, so hello, I'm Mike. I've been hearing the spiel for like 29 years, and it's been great. And for a long time, I was sitting around seeing everyone do their things and nobody's doing anything really important. And so I was like, Chris he's been doing it forever, like on his own. And so I felt like it was a need to go, if a change is going to happen, people are going to have to do it on their own and change their own lives. So that was like important that people take the steps to do it personally and make a change. And he does everything alone. And so, I just felt like, what am I doing and what's anyone else doing? So it's like, might as well go help and be a part of something that's important. And that was the main point. It's obviously inspiring, and one man army is very inspiring, and I think that's the only way stuff's going to change, because we can't go looking for somebody to fix our problems for us. So that's the main thing. It's been great working, and it's been a big change.
Well, that's cool. One of the things is a joy is actually spending time with you. And, you know, uh, I think it's really great as adults that we're able to spend. I mean, and you live close. Well, you're almost living in the office. You have an apartment out in the building next door, and so that's a kind of fun thing. You literally moved close to the office, which I think is great. I'm delighted that we get to spend some time together. One of the things that I think is great is that you, besides the work that you do for us, which is a lot of the production stuff, the social media stuff for Destination Freedom. You are an artisan and you do glass work. That's coming, and I mean, you've started in doing some of that stuff. Talk a little bit about what your
Yeah,
expectations
I mean,
are for what you're looking to do.
it's been wild, because I mean, you're starting your whole thing here, and the beginning of all this, a new transition of how you're running things, and I'm starting my own business. I'm going to be putting like ashes, like human ashes, into glass for people for memorials. So that's my endeavor of an important goal, trying to help people, have some comfort with the death process. So it's been real cool with you developing your thing while I'm developing my business, and it's just an experience.
That's cool. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate you a lot, and I'll give you some money later on.
Yeah, that'll
We'll
be
go
good.
have beers. That's what I always like. It's a joy. We can go do beers together. That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate you. And then Ted, you're up top, and I'll get to you, Scott. Welcome to the broadcast. Glad you're in. Um, we'll uh, we'll get your story in a minute. So appreciate you,
Yeah,
Ted. Thanks for your patience and thanks for being on. Um, and you're in New Hampshire,
I
and
am.
that's cool. And I appreciate you. Talk a little bit about about your, you have a family, and then what you're doing for work, or what are you doing these days uh, instead of raising funds and stuff. And by the way, congratulations on how Bitcoin's doing today. It's always a
Yeah,
lovely thing. So
it is. But I'm always very skeptical, and I try not to let the greed, get to me, because
yeah.
it's times like this that you should, be on high alert when you're an investor.
Hmm.
But either way, yeah. So I'm sure it's very obvious. Yeah, I'm a crypto investor, and made some money that way. That I wasn't always a crypto investor, but I got into Bitcoin 2012, and so got in pretty early. Lost a lot, but gained a lot too. However, I was, some of my background. I grew up in New Hampshire, and I'm a black sheep in my family. I grew up in a very socialist household. But I was always skeptical, and I can give credit to my father. He's a very skeptical man, always complaining about, the way the world goes and all that stuff. And although we disagree on a lot of things, we agree on a lot of the problems. We just disagree on solutions. I'm definitely a free will advocate, and I think that that's what we're here to do. I think we're here to find our purpose and serve God, and ultimately that's different for each and every one of us, and no man can decide that for you. You have to decide that for yourself. So anyway, yeah, I served in the Army, so I was a District of Columbia employee for quite a while, and during the COVID scamdemic, I had enough, among many other things. I went down a truther rabbit hole back in like 2007, 2008, and I was actually new in the military at the time, but I've been researching this stuff for quite a while, and I think I came across you, Christopher, on a podcast with Ernest Hancock originally. So I don't know what year that was. It may have been, I don't know, 2014 or 15 or something like that.
Yeah.
So at the time, I was kind of excited to come back to New Hampshire. I was still in the military, but I was excited because the Free State Project was going on. So I kind of kept tabs on stuff with that. And so, I'd gone down many rabbit holes, done a lot of research, much like Ron went into, just to get my head wrapped around this concept of state citizenship versus federal citizenship, and all these lies that we've been told over centuries, actually. And eventually, when it was time to get out of the military, I knew the writing was on the wall, and I wanted to posture my family appropriately getting out. And so I gave Christopher a call, and he helped me through the process. And it was very nerve-wracking at first, because being from the military, it's a socialist thing. Like, everything's taken care of for you, all your health care, all your benefits, and all this stuff. And so letting go of that, that's a hard thing to wrap your head around. But Christopher was great in explaining the process and putting me at ease. And not only that, but putting my wife at ease too, because obviously this is something that you have to go through with your family.
Yeah.
So I've been, we did the passport process back in 2021. And everything's, it's almost like a non-issue. Like, it never really comes up. I still have some occasional correspondence with the IRS, but at this point, I really know how to respond, and I know how to assert myself, and it's really a non-issue. I do like to keep in touch with Christopher to make sure I'm not making any mistakes, and he's happy to help me out whenever he wants. That's me in a nutshell, I guess.
That's cool. I appreciate that. Thanks so much. You're one of the things I like about you, Ted, is that your initial, anytime you're dealing with government or whatever it is, you step up and begin to do your stuff. You like to do your own paperwork. You like to do your own work. I think that's a huge part of getting to a place to where you're comfortable and you understand that the principles are always the same. It's not complicated. There's just details that once you learn them, it just is pretty matter of fact. And I think that's great.
It's just telling the truth over and over again, basically.
That's great.
It's really not
I
that
love
hard.
that about, for me, there's a peace in that.
Yeah.
And so that's part of the joy of it. So, well, thanks for that. And I appreciate you a lot. I'm looking forward to getting together again. We'll come out and hang out with your family. That'll be fun.
Absolutely.
And it brings us to Ann B. Davis as Alice. No, that was a Brady Bunch joke there for anybody who's old enough to know what the Brady Bunch is. I know Danny does. Anyway, Scott, I'm glad you're on. I appreciate you. Let me get Ron back in here. He dropped out. Ron's he's good. So Scott, talk a little bit about what do you do for work? You have a family. You recently made a move. You're in Montana now, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I made the move to Montana. Been here for almost a year now. And I have a family. There's 6 of us, 4 kids. And I went down. I would say I've been looking into, I would say, options in terms of what would set me up and set up my family in the best way possible with regards to living in a way that is most congruent with our faith and being, like Scripture talks a lot about liberty and being free and truth. And, and that was just a journey that I've been going on for about, going on 20 years as an adult. And so, in my process of that, in 2020, I was on the a forum. I think it was the Dollar Vigilante forum, and I was looking for just different things on there, and I'd come across someone that had shared something about this concept of federal and state citizen. And so I started researching that, and I clicked through it, and it connected me ultimately to you. And so, and in my, I had been in my business, I'm in financial services, consumer finance, and I was paying a significant amount in taxes. Obviously, at the time I was in California as well, so I was absolutely getting murdered. I was an investor and had some significant gains, and I just remember thinking that I'm working so hard, and it just doesn't, like, something internally in me at a deep spiritual soul level felt like I was missing something. And it's sort of like the Matrix, where Neo he just knows that there's something not right. And so I was always sort of researching and going down these paths. And I really feel like God was leading me down these different paths, and in search of effectively the truth. And then when I came across you, and I took the first class, and then started studying and reading it, and reading, of course, like The Creature from Jekyll Island. I read that, and I started reading all of these other different books, and understanding that this is something that I, like, intuitively knew was sort of hidden. And like my family on three sides, three of the bloodlines, all got to America in the early 1600s. So they were very early here. And, and I had heard about, just this kind of idea of freedom and liberty, and being, your own man and under God. And then comparing that to what I grew up in, and going to church, and learning about these different principles, and then going to school and learning something completely different. There's just a lot of conflict. And I just felt like I was being, there was an attempt to deceive me. And so in that search for truth, I think, and also courage and faith, because it takes a lot of faith, and effort and energy and time and prayer, frankly, to be willing to accept these truths. Because, it's kind of like the gospel, you can share it with certain people, and they'll hear it, and they'll just go, yeah. And then other people, it's like the parable of the sower. And I think with this, it's very similar. Like, some people are open and willing to hear the truth and receive the truth, and then act on the truth. And others, they can't get over the barrier of, whatever it might be, programming and fear and things like that. And so I just really appreciate you, Christopher. And we've had a lot of discussions, spiritual discussions, and just the strength of your faith, and, and just those godly principles that you live by, and just how that's manifested, in this work. And so for me, it's a major encouragement, and just kind of, it has satisfied a part of my soul that was in conflict my entire life. As I would work, and I'd see my labor, and coming from nothing, and then working really diligently, and putting everything on the line, and then being able to, generate significant income, and then seeing that just going out the door. And it was just, it didn't make sense to me. And so then now to be on this side, it empowered me at such a level that I see everything through a different filter now, through like I just am, it just is I would say I am empowered, and I feel like I'm free and living without that conflict. And I think a lot of people just endure the conflict that's in their soul, and because of fear, they don't pursue these different, really, I'd say, opportunities that are given to them by God. And so I'm just kind of one that would encourage anybody that's sort of, they hear this and like, yeah, but when they start saying, yeah, but, or what if, that's not faith, and I would just really encourage people to reject that and pursue what is on your heart, because then that's where scripture will talk about, 10, 100, 1,000-fold, and you start to reap these massive blessings as a result of doing things in faith. And this work would be one of those things, because you're becoming in alignment with what I would say, God intended, these inalienable rights that we have, and that to live in America and to claim that is available, for anyone. And it would be something that it will change your life, and also the life of your family, because even my children, and they think differently and they view things differently, and anything is possible now, and so they think at levels much higher. Like my son's 13, and we went on a trip for a baseball tournament, and people were meeting him and they all thought he was 16 years old, just because of the way he carried himself. And I think a lot of it has to do with, kind of what we're talking about here in this kind of work. So
That's awesome.
anyway,
That's great. So has this been, how is this process, of coming out administratively, coming out of some of that into today? How was that transition for you, and how's that feel now?
yeah, I would say in the beginning, it's very foreign. I've done a lot of contract work and things like that, and I'm comfortable writing, but I would say that the way that you have set up the processes, you make it very easy for people to, receive the information, assimilate it, and then put out good paperwork. And then also, you're always, you're there and have systems in place to help people along the way. And so for me, in the beginning, I was very reliant upon you helping me navigate it. And, obviously I was doing a lot of my own work that you have on the website, and the different documents that are available through your classes and such. But then all of a sudden you start to grasp it. You start to understand how this works. You start to understand the definitions, the language, and things start to click. And then, I think, like you shared, Ted, and probably, even Ron, you start to understand how to do your own work and how to communicate with people. And then even the community of people that we have, talking to one another and sharing. That's one thing that I'd say, is that there's an incredible community of other people that are so willing to help one another. Those that are at different stages of kind of their education, I guess, with this. And for me now, it's you become bolder and you become more empowered as you continue to put in the work and live in this, because it becomes really part of you, because you're expressing your freedom through, different we have freedom, but then expressing it through this work, and interacting with people, like whether you're at the DMV or you're at a bank or you're at, or signing some sort of other contract, or you're talking to whomever, it's kind of fun to be sort of different, for me, where you just don't fit into the status quo, and people are curious. They're like, wow, you're different. What are you doing? And then you get to share that and empower certain people. And I've had people that I've talked to and met, and when they hear this, they go, whoa, this is what I've been looking for. I knew that this was possible. And then they can go on their own journey. And then, I stay in contact with them, and it's just been a really great process. Yeah.
That's good. I appreciate you. I appreciate you all. I appreciate. I'm so delighted for your stories, and and the value that you've brought to your life by your own faith and your action and all has encouraged me. It helps me realize my purpose and what I do. Um, I'm thankful to God for all of you and your families. Um, it has made my life better. I am I'm delighted to serve you. I have the utmost respect for all of you, and I appreciate your life a lot. It brings me joy. Um, I want to just thank you all for that, and we'll come to and I'll buy you all beers when we see each other, because beer's proof that God loves us and wants us to be happy, and I want to be very happy. Um, so um, so again, I'm grateful for you, and I wanted to mention before we close out this section of the broadcast, I'm going to bring Amma on, who's my assistant, and she'll sit next to me in the studio, and I'll get her story as part of this process as well. But I just want to say that Scott is working on some stuff. I think it'll be kind of fun. He's doing some court work with respect to driver's license stuff. So
Mhm.
maybe we'll do a broadcast for that. It'll be kind of fun to see and have people kind of follow along how that may unfold. And so that was something as a tickler. It was we've got some paperwork in with the state about the private nature of the right to travel, and we're right now in the process of testing it in the courts. So we're excited about that. But anyway,
That's
that's
out in New Hampshire.
that's
That's in
in
New
Montana.
Hampshire.
That's in
Oh,
Montana.
Montana.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
in Montana and also in California. So we
Oh
have
yeah,
two
he's got
different.
because
Yeah.
Scott's a race car driver, and that's what he likes to do.
Yeah, right.
He's
That's
doing
so,
deep
Uh, I
national
would say he
research.
governs himself just fine, and we're just
yeah.
going to see how whether the state is going to be involved. But we've got some great tools and some things we're working on, so I'm looking forward to doing some of that work. And yeah, I mean, you really can't lose because not only are we going to deal with driver's license, but because we have court stuff that in Montana they convene a jury for this, so
Yeah.
we're going to deal with finding out if these jurors are also of his peers, not being a federal citizen. We're going to get to play all that out and see how they select juries in Montana. So,
Hmm.
and maybe I don't know if California does, but anyway, all that stuff's on our plate. We'll talk about another show. But anyway, thank you all for being on, and and we'll catch up with you later. You all mean a lot to me, and I appreciate that. So,
Thank you,
okay,
Christopher.
Thanks, Christopher.
okay,
Thank
we'll
you,
see you
Christopher.
soon. We'll see how we let me see how we do this stuff here. All right. Let me see. I don't know how that. Let's see how we're doing this here. Okay, Scott, we'll talk soon. All right, let's see. All right, and there's Michael. I'm going to let you go, Michael, unless you want to come over in the studio here. So let's do that. All right. All right. So let's see if I did that. All right. Let's see how we do. So I think you still. I have you on as Destination Freedom. Let me just see if I can. There we go. It was catching up. So anyway, that was a great broadcast, and so Ama, if you want to come over, okay. So we'll make some room for her, and let's see if I can just. You're always in the this. We're in one part of the office, and watch it. There you go.
I won't bump the table.
No, you're good. Um, but
That was great.
wasn't that lovely?
That was,
Those
you
guys
know,
are. Yeah.
it's all my story too.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're um, talk a little bit about when did you hear about some of this stuff and what was that like for you?
Great. Yeah. I think it was like my sophomore or junior year in college
Really?
that I was talking about this stuff with a friend of mine, Steve Ivison. Hey, Steve. um, predatory bank lending, the whole nine yards, how things are so backwards. And, different things would happen in my life to make me just see what I didn't see before, the inequity of things. And all
Yeah.
of those stories I
Mm.
resonated with.
Yeah.
Black sheep,
Yeah.
wanting the freedom, the search for God. It's all connected.
Yeah.
We're all connected in that. And I kind of got to a place where I was just tired of the hamster wheel,
Yeah.
the hamster wheel. And, when I think I saw a rogue video of yours online.
Yeah.
You were outside talking about states' rights or something like that. I
Oh,
was
that
like,
would have been
wow.
my declaration of the Independence Day in front of the pond
Sure, yeah,
and doing
yeah,
that talk. Yeah.
yeah. It was
Yeah.
fabulous,
That was good.
and I was like, "Who is this guy?"
That's funny.
And I wanted more videos. I just wanted
Mm,
more, and
that's cool.
so I did reach out. I did get in touch with you, and I remember talking to you saying, I would love to do this as a job. I would
Mm,
love to, if you ever need any help, you need
that's
to
so
call
funny.
me, and I'm a
Yeah.
smart girl,
That's so
if I
funny.
study something, I'll know
Yeah.
it.
So
And
you recently did your passport process. How was
I
that?
did. It was great. It was
Was it difficult, or you happened to be in New Hampshire? Well,
look,
you started in Hawaii.
I got to see the master. Okay, so
Oh, yeah, done a few of
I
those.
think Michael and I went together with you
Yeah.
to bring our applications into the post office.
Yeah.
And really, yeah, I hate to put a gender on it, but being a woman, it's if you get assertive, you become a B word, right?
Right.
And you just, my goodness, just no, this is the way it has to be done. I'm signing this under penalty of perjury,
Right.
and here are your rights and responsibilities. Here are mine. This needs to go in. And it
Yeah.
was just like you went in with such an attitude, like there is no, there is no questioning. This
Right.
is the truth. This is
Yeah.
my truth, and damn it, it's going in. And I learned a lot from that.
That's cool.
And then the same thing when we did the driver's license.
Right.
I was, thank God I had you next to me.
Yeah.
And I think if I had to do it myself, I would come from that calm
Yeah.
place that is just knowing, like, you're
That's good.
connected,
Yeah.
you know your stuff,
Yeah.
and you execute it flawlessly. And a big thing isn't getting angry. It's just asserting yourself.
It's
Just,
a good
hey,
word.
look, this is what needs to be done.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's great. And then you completed it because you got your certified documents
I got
back
my
from the State
certified
Department.
documents back. I haven't got my driver's license back yet. I still am in
Oh, that's
with
right.
my
They're sending
paperwork.
out you have a temporary one
Yeah.
still.
And I
Oh,
had to
that's good.
surrender my Hawaii one. Remember, I cried a
Yeah,
little.
I know that's true.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
And so now, at some point, you decided, and again, we had a conversation about wanting to be here. How was that transition from moving, and now, of course, you returned to New England because your family's from
Well, it did help.
Springfield, Massachusetts,
It did
and
help.
so here you are in New Hampshire. Um, how is this now you're doing the work and you get to talk to clients and be on the phone and stuff? How has this experience been for you?
Well, it's a learning curve, as you know. And
Yeah.
if I've made a mistake talking with you, I'm very sorry, but I'm learning. If I made a mistake on your paperwork, I'm still learning. It's a
Oh,
lot. You do
you're
a
doing a
lot.
great job.
I
You're doing
thank
great.
you.
I
I do
appreciate
my
you.
best. And
That's good.
you know, it's great to help other people to realize,
Yeah.
to step into the peacefulness of it.
Yeah.
Not because I've seen so many videos and so many people just getting angry about it.
Yeah.
And I can see why. I
Mm.
can see why, we've been duped. This isn't okay. Yeah,
Right.
I get it. But you know what? Once you get to that solid place of being in your calm around it and in your power around it,
Yeah.
the dynamic shifts drastically.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's effortless. This is the way it is.
Yeah.
And this is the way we're doing it.
That's cool. I
Yeah.
like how Scott said, or maybe it was Ted, but I think it was Scott that had said, so he's just constantly just telling the truth, just
Right.
telling the truth. I love that.
Right.
I find that there's a peace in that. It's not a fight. It's not a resisting. We're just wanting the truth.
But
And I want
real
everybody to know
quick, you're
you
gonna
can handle the truth.
real quick, you're gonna find out who's a truth teller and who's not. And I don't remember who it was that was saying that they were the black sheep.
Yeah.
That's part of it. The
was-
black
that
sheep
was
is the
Ted.
one in the family that tells the Ted, is the one that tells the truth.
That's fun.
And you usually show up in a family that likes a nice sugar coated lie.
Right.
Oh,
that's a good
And
word.
so
That's cool.
yeah, and so we
Well,
deal
good.
with it. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Again, thankful for you. You're really helping me transition to, where the business is going and this work is going. We're trying to automate some things, systematize if it's not automated. Um, we are expecting to ramp up a new website.
Yes.
That's coming. There's a number of things that are coming. Like my son Michael always says, we've been in this transition for quite a while. And even with Michael coming on in the spring, we're transitioning. Even with being in the new office, we hadn't got our internet up. We're still just
getting our legs. It's like a
we
tightrope
absolutely are
sometimes.
just
Yeah.
beginning some of this transitional work. And it's not like this a couple pieces of paper. There's a lot of work, and I'm so thankful that you've stepped up in that. And so if you know, if you yourself would like to do these processes, just reach out to destinationfreedom.org and then contact us. We're glad to help. There's a lot of hand holding, a lot of spending time together. We have a lot of support, and yeah, it can be a good thing. You're the nice thing about when you're an entrepreneur, you do your own stuff. So not only do you do everything for me, what
Oh,
else do you
not
do? What else do you
everything.
do
No, I
for
don't do
yourself?
everything,
Well,
but
almost. It's just really
I'm learning,
good. That's
and
great. So,
it's
anyways, you recently your mom passed,
my
and
mom
and
passed
and
recently.
she
Yes.
left you
Well,
some of your inheritance.
and that was interesting because that's when I was on the East Coast. I
Mm,
had called you
yeah,
because I just started my process and then I came out to take care of my mom.
right.
So I couldn't finish it. And then, I was freaked out about, am I a US citizen? I didn't really know the whole thing. And I had that phone call to you.
Mm,
And then I saw on your website that you were looking for a job. Anyways,
that's so cool.
so and it's interesting that I was born and raised in Massachusetts, which is about a couple hours away from here.
Yeah.
So for me, it felt like I was ready for a change. I wanted to do something with my life that meant something
Mm,
more and helped people.
yeah,
And I really sensed that you had a good heart, and I sensed that you knew what you were talking about.
that's cool.
Yeah, but my mom, yeah, she did pass in April, and that was very sad for me. And we move on.
Yeah.
We get things done.
So now so are you doing okay, yeah, okay, that's cool.
I'm doing astrology.
Okay. Oh, stop. You, so you, we'll have to
I always
we'll
razz
edit
him.
that
I'm
out.
sorry.
All right,
I'm
anyway,
sorry. You can
that
edit it
that's
out.
nice. Anyway, so so it's a good thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you for that, and I thank you for all everything you do for us. It's great, and she serves a lot of you. So all right, so we're coming down to the end of our hour,
Let me see if
and I
there's any
appreciate it.
questions for you.
Oh, that's
Thank
good.
you
Oh
so
no, I
much,
appreciate it.
Christopher.
Yeah. So we probably will wrap up this particular broadcast. But if there was, do we have any questions on YouTube? Do we have anybody on YouTube? I can't really. Oh, that's great. Oh, there's a there's a chat. Let me see if I here's some chat stuff. Um, oh yeah, so there's a couple comments. So here's one. When your paperwork is complete, what is the time frame to receive passport? Oh, that's a good question. Um, the passport process for the federal government is if you expedite, it's um, I think it's like 3 to 4 weeks for a regular passport that's expedited. 10 to 12 weeks if they do it regular. Now, our passport turnaround is without expediting is about the same pace of as if you expedite it. It moves really fast. So typically 3 to 4 weeks, you'll get your passport. After that, we do a FOIA request, or you may do a FOIA request if you're doing the workshop, and then um, the FOIA can come back. How fast is your FOIA? Was it about a month? Yeah. Yeah, almost took about a month. That's very fast. So if the Secretary of State is sitting on his thumbs and doing nothing, it's probably pretty fast. But if he's invading other countries and things like that, well, then it takes a little bit of time to do that. And so no, listen, the wedding signature of the Secretary of the United States is on the certified document. So it takes time for that elected official, or no, that appointed official, to sign the documents. So we've had people take even a year to get those certified documents, but typically it's a number of months, a couple months. A lot of times the statute says 20 days, but for certified documents, it could take a couple months, could even be up to 6 months. So that's the timeline on that. Thanks so much for your question. All right, and if you have other questions, you can go to the DestinationFreedom.org website, and there's a contact us. You can ask questions there, or you can ask questions in State Citizen at DestinationFreedom.org, and and we'll do our best to on the next call to answer any of those questions that you have, and we'll be glad to do that. Someone says before we go, if everyone gave a thumbs up, it does something apparently. That's a nice person. Yes, please do thumbs up if it's on there. Yeah, do that thumbs up. Um, yeah, and on social media, give like and subscribe and help us out. Don't underestimate the power of your thumb. I did not. No. So, yeah, like all those politicians do. So, anyway, I'm delighted to be here, and I appreciate you. And we'll see you next week. And we do have if you're a client, we have weekly client calls that we answer questions for clients and all that stuff. So we have a lot of support for you. Have a great week. We'll see you soon. And thanks for being here. I'm Christopher Gronsky. This is Destination Freedom. See you next time.